We look forward to it.
Listen,
Fellas,
it's
it's
just
gonna be one of them nights.
it's gonna be. I'm telling you.
Listen, boy, I ain't saw that intro in a long time, man.
No, been a while.
Golly.
I think one week you might have forgot to put it up. I think we just
Oh, for
jumped
real?
right into it. Yeah, I think we
Raw
jumped
dog,
right into
huh?
it.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
hear you.
Yo, my camera. So I got a new computer, and like I tried to switch everything over, and nothing's working. Like Mr. IT, I can't even get this stuff right. But man, it's been a long.
Yeah, right.
Man, I literally just walked through the door from coaching. Man. It's crazy.
I
What's
figured, look, I
good,
said
Coach?
that in the group text. I said, man, old ball coach probably at the field still.
Yo, it don't stop, man. It's every day. It's every day from
Hey,
6 to 9:30. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
okay.
But man, how y'all think this rap beef turned out? Did anybody anticipate what just happened? Like from the last time we spoke to where we come now. Like this thing went crazy.
I didn't. I don't want to say it was a flawless victory, but it was a lot of belt to ass. Man, Kendrick was whooping him. And I was like, did you at least pinch him? You gonna pinch him back? Like, golly. But it also kind of made me think one of the things that I said earlier, it felt like this was kind of like drummed up drama. Like because it felt like they had the clip ready for him, and like Drake, it seemed like he wasn't prepared.
It didn't seem very. It didn't
Like, because
seem
where'd it
drummed
come
up.
from? I don't understand the origins of it.
So digging into it, like there's been a lot of things that I guess Drake's been doing on the back end to different artists. Is some people even said he was a new Diddy. You know what I'm saying? So that's where all
And
the
what do we
beef
mean?
is coming from. Yeah. Like so, some people were saying like what he's been doing people in deals, trying to get people's albums, like you know what I'm saying? Like they've been saying like Drake's been like shady for real. So like, oh, that's why like when you look at like why is everybody attacking this dude?
Right. See, I was thinking it was more of a look. They got tired of seeing him win, so
No,
like let's join together. Because I'm like, what did he do to y'all? Like this is kind of.
It was more of a he's doing people dirty on the back and no did it. You know what I'm saying? So that's been the thing with him. But I thought this was just like a fun thing. It got serious.
Like man, folks gonna mess around and have a charge or something, man. Talking about they messing with underages, and I was this just got real.
What's your thoughts on the Leafer on how this thing played out?
You know what? I was trying not to pay attention to it much at all, man. I was trying to stay away from it, but it got real crazy. You know what I mean? And the Metro Boomin start, you know what I mean, making you want me to just shut up and make beats? Okay, I got a beat for you. He come, with a whole beat basically as a diss, and you know what I mean. He was just getting the shellacking, but yeah, it does seem like it was like the industry was trying to reset. You know what I mean? Like they just said, you know what, we're tired of this guy. We got to get him out of there. Because even when I felt like Drake had some momentum, and I felt like, oh, okay, he got him, and Kendrick came back, and it wasn't like, because you always got to dissect Kendrick stuff. Like you can't really get the diss until about a day or two later. You got to go back, listen to it, and then so You know what I mean? You don't never really hear any too much negative stuff about Kendrick stuff, but you hear Drake's like right away. You hear all the negative stuff about Drake. So I'm like, there's something going on with this, where it just felt like, you know, all the stars was aligned for Kendrick to win this from the beginning. Like it didn't matter. And then he had the Super Friends, like just everybody just kind of piled on against Drake. Everybody was coming out against Drake in every little angle. So it just felt like the industry was just trying to, you know, piling on against him, to where he just wasn't gonna win this. It just didn't matter how hard he came. They were just going to put something together where it was just going to be a full onslaught industry victory to push him out the way.
I don't think it was a flawless victory from what I've heard. Like everybody say that. I feel like it's media driven based on the amount of victory that really happened. Like the Kendrick win, where I stand, like if there's no influence.
That's exactly what we're saying, though. That's exactly what we're saying.
So listen, no, if there's no influence from media or anybody else, and I'm going off of what I heard, song for song, bar for bar, whatever, Kendrick won, but it's not like a landslide or like it wasn't like he beat him this much. At this
so
point,
what damage did Kendrick take?
What I mean, the fact that he didn't even address the fact that he was beating his wife, like the things that Drake was throwing at him, he didn't address those things. He just came back and said something else about Drake. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like he ever addressed what Drake was saying or accusing him of. I think at one point he called his wife a tranny or something like that, or he had a tranny uncle, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but I think that was my point though. Like that's why I was like, yo, it was like he already had the clip loaded. And he just like, because it wasn't like it was, oh, you said this, okay, let me put bars to that. Like it was like, oh no, round two. Like he just kept giving it to him. And I was like,
I mean, but it was like, are these allegations or are these real things, right? So we don't know.
Does it matter?
Until the stuff actually comes out. Yeah. I think it does. Because when it comes out that these things are true, then you're like, oh, Kendrick was. That's when it's like you really realize like the impact that was going on. But if these allegations are like false, like Drake was saying, like, man, we fed you this info, like, you know what I'm saying, like. So I mean,
I don't believe it.
You know, check your resources because we set up the mold to tell you X, Y, Z. So I just don't see a even exchange. And the only thing I see is like Drake just didn't respond to the last hit.
So I don't think that it matters whether the intel was true or not. If you get barred up, you get barred up. And I think that's just part of the battle. You know what I mean? Regardless, because I can say whatever I want about you, and nobody can tell whether it's true or false. And by the time they do figure out whether it's true or false, the battle's over. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily know that in the moment. I don't necessarily feel like in the moment it really matters.
Was Drake's bars bad to say like?
It just wasn't on par.
I don't know if they were Drake's bars. Yeah, I don't even know if they were Drake's bars. First of all, and then second of all. I don't think they were bad. I just think, you know, once the whole movement came behind, you know what I mean? And it wasn't just Kendrick coming at him. It was just like I said, the whole industry coming at him. I don't know that he had a chance. And then once Kendrick basically came out with a whole West Coast anthem, like, and I think that's the hard thing for Drake, because he doesn't necessarily have like body.
That was the death blow. That was the death blow.
That's it. Dog, I had me
before that,
that was a deadly strike.
No, Kendrick came out with a joint that was kind of hard, but like before that, they like us, like Kendrick's they was boring. Like, oh, here we go with another Kendrick, monotone, this and that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was like it's not like that is what ended it.
And think about, he even put out Super Friends. He gonna have DJ Mustard produce the beat. Like, I was like, man, this was a calculated strike. Like, I was like, it was a death blow. So, and that's all Drake could do. Like, you know what?
He had a loaded clip. He was waiting for it.
Yep.
And I think one thing that was a Drake misstep is that, because one of the things that Drake was going off in the whole beef was that the fact that Kendrick usually takes 7 years, between albums and things like that. So it usually takes a while to put his thought together. He didn't expect this stuff to come back to back. he wasn't expecting them them bullets to hit him. You know what I mean? He had
He
the automatic. So
he
he
run a
wasn't.
spin. You know
Yeah.
what that was? He was running
Yeah, he
spin.
set
Light
him.
him up.
Yeah, he set him. He was
Light him up. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
he
he
was ready
said
for
it.
that. So
yeah, like that's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like it was orchestrated.
I got you. Next topic, right? Like, I guess that was a news category. This idea just came up today with if you were starting over, what grill you going with? If you was buying a new grill, you going with the pellet grill, the charcoal, or the gas? What would you do today if you had nothing? You know, it's Memorial Day weekend coming up. People going to be on them queues.
Hold on, wait. But you said if you had nothing, what do you mean? Like
If
you had nothing grill wise, or you had nothing
ready for Memorial Day this weekend. Everybody's lighting up the grill, going boating. Everybody's on the grill this weekend, right?
and you are who you are now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like you ain't had nothing.
Memorial Day weekend and everybody's about to
Okay.
barbecue.
Okay.
So you getting ready for a barbecue situation. What are you going with? Are you going with the gas grill, the pellet grill, or the charcoal? Leifer, I think you're best suited, so go last. What Reese got?
So if you're saying that we don't have nothing, I probably will go with and this is coming from somebody who got 2 grills out back, but I would go with the gas if I had nothing else. But my favorite is the pellet. But if I had nothing, I would probably go with the gas.
I would definitely go, and I'm gonna let you like wrap it all up. I would definitely go charcoal because I love the process. The pellet, it just don't have the same flavor impact that a charcoal or a charcoal / smoker could give you. It's just not the quality of food that comes out on the other end. It's kind of like the fast food Wendy's, McDonald's version of a hamburger for me. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what it's like going to the cookout. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to go pellet grill. So that's why I was like, it's always really the charcoal or the wood burning, that situation. But I think you can't really beat the taste of a smoker, but in like everything doesn't get smoked. You know what I mean? Like you can smoke everything. Oh, time out. You can absolutely smoke everything. But I think having just a smoker puts you in a hole only producing a limited amount of BMWs or Bentleys. You know what I'm saying? Like there's only 1,000 Bentleys that get made. I don't know the exact number, but you understand what I'm saying. You just can't produce enough food in enough time. You know what I'm saying? With that same great quality, you can produce great food, but just not enough. And if you're bringing a lot of guests over. What you got?
That was my thought. Was the versatility. I think you're right. Like that was the versatility was the issue for me.
So I'm going with the dually. So like where you got where it's like one big massive grill, but you got one side is charcoal and one side is gas. And then that way you could do a lot more. So when you started off on the charcoal, you know what I mean? You started off high heat on the charcoal, you get all that flavor in there, then you move it over to the gas side. And that way you could cook a lot more on that rotation. So I would do that, especially if we talking about Memorial Day weekend, because in that way, you know what I mean? You don't miss anything by way of flavor, but you still get you get to cook more and you get that high quality flavor and speed and getting it done. And really, if I had a little bit to splurge, I would get the dually with the smoker attachment. And then that way I could really get all the flavors. You know what I mean? I'll start it off in the smoker, move it over to the charcoal, and then finish it off on the gas.
So you didn't even mention the pellet. Are you like excluding the pellet completely? Is that not a part of the process?
I don't really use the pellet. I don't really use the pellets at all. I typically use charcoal. And then if I have like some cherry wood, I'll throw some cherry wood in there. You know what I mean? But yeah, I typically don't use pellet at all.
Cherry wood. Y'all remember the Muslims used to walk around chewing on the cherry wood? Or selling cherry wood, like that used to be.
That's what I didn't know that was cherry wood. I remember that. I used to just call them Muslim sticks.
They still do. In East Liberty, they got the little
cherry wood. Okay,
the little chewing sticks and the little oils.
They look cool with it though. Yeah, like they look cool with the little cherry wood. Like you know what I'm saying. It was like how we used to have like the toothpick, like yeah, but it wasn't toothpicks. We was emulating cherry wood. You know what I'm saying? So here's something that keeps coming up throughout media, right? Or throughout the journey of YouTube. I don't know if you guys only do the show and then like log out. That's what I imagine you guys do. Y'all do the show and the rest of YouTube, social media, or anything else does not exist. But I stay surfing, right? And a common thing that always comes up is dudes complaining about baby mamas, child support, wives, women in general, or life. So like the show's like, don't be a victim, right? But it's like they continue to be a victim and play this victim card of, oh my, you know, this girl's like suing me for child support. You know, why are women doing this to men? Or why are women doing this to men, making men victims? So I guess the first question is, are men's complaints valid? What you got, Lee?
Far be it for me to try to invalidate somebody's feelings. But what I will say is that a lot of men create their own problems, you know, and a lot of that starts with no dick discipline. And then some of those, and a lot of those issues also, you know, stem from, you know, I don't want to say lack of self-esteem, but you know what I mean? Sometimes the ego needs to be stroked. So a lot of times they put themselves in situations where, you know, where their ego is being stroked, and now you went too far and you can't really come back from it. So I think, you know, I think the complaints are valid in some ways, but I think some things can be thwarted by making better decisions. You know what I mean? But once you're in the thick of it, it's like it's too late now. You know what I mean? When you didn't put your life and your freedom in somebody else's hands, and now you're wanting them to be merciful, and that's just that's typically not how it goes. So you know what I mean?
I don't have a sound thing for that. I don't know a sound thing for, you know, when you said wanting somebody to be merciful. You know what I'm saying? Like, please, slave master, don't beat me. I don't know. Like when somebody else is doing their job, like, please don't score another touchdown on me. Like y'all whooping, like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're not supposed to beat you.
Ain't no mercy rule in life.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's like, how do you wait a minute. I'm gonna say something that I think is gonna provoke Mo to have some thought. I feel like women being women, men can know, like, we can't blame women for being women. So like blaming them, like, oh, they did this and they sued me, or they keyed my car, or they broke my window, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like these types of things, I feel like men need to have the foresight to understand, like, these things can happen. And if you don't protect yourself the right way, these things will happen. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make sense on how you're still confused about people being people, you know, or women being women. Like your mama did this. You watched your mom do this to multiple people. You watched your grandmother. You watched your sister, how she gets done. Why is anybody else any different? You understand what I'm saying? Like even women across seas, when they're like, look, I'm gonna sue you for child support, and you're over here complaining like, oh, they can't believe they suing me too. Like they supposed to not sue me. Why are you blaming women for being women? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you be like, oh, they're not supposed to do this because they're supposed to have this moral code, but we know they don't, or they wouldn't even rock with you if they did. Like if let's be frank, if women had a moral code, no, most men wouldn't get no buns. Like flat out, like, you know what I'm saying? If women had a real moral code. So, but go ahead, spin it, Mo. I hope it provokes you a little bit.
Well, here we go. Welcome back. I'm gonna come at this from a different angle. So, one, who are we to tell somebody that, you know, their feelings aren't valid, like Leifer said? So that's one. Let's start there. But two, but here, I'm gonna bring it home. So think about this, and this is extreme, but yo, that plight that they're having, that's a for life thing, or at least for 18 years. That's like telling somebody that got herpes, like, quit talking about it, man. It's over. You got it. Like, but I still got to deal with it. Like, so the fact that they're bringing it up is because it's still affecting them. It's still giving them damage. So who are we to tell them to stop? And another point that you were talking about, this kind of counters that point, is the reason we keep talking about it, or the reason people keep talking about it, is to get forewarned the next person who hasn't came in contact. And now, in my opinion, I believe that's why they're like, quit talking about it, so they can get another victim. So there's another generation of victims that come through the pipe. Because what if boys just start being like, you know what, man, so God forbid, what if young boys start, like, because they're not going to smarten up, like they're going to want to do what they do, right? But what if I remember I said this at work one time. I said, if you're going to do the wrong thing, do it the right way. And what if they're like, yo, I'm a whoremonger. I'm going to go get a vasectomy at 18. And they just go and they just doing what they doing. They're like, damn, I thought I trapped him, man. I didn't poke holes. I didn't turkey baster. I did all this, man. And he's like, nah, you can't trap me, baby. So it's one of those things. So I never have a problem with somebody telling or foreshadowing what could happen if you make bad decisions. So like, I don't like, now, obviously I don't listen to it and I don't want to be in the victim Olympics. So just keep bringing it up. Like it's not something you want to keep listening to, but at the same time, if you hear it enough, hopefully somebody who actually isn't defeated is going to try to find a solution. So I'm all for it. I mean, I'm not going to keep listening to it, but I don't have a problem with it. And I think the people who are saying, oh, we tired of hearing about it. One, why you keep listening to it? And three, okay, if you keep listening to it, at some point, are you trying to, is this hush money? Like you want to hush them so that you can keep running your play. And that's the part that I kind of start thinking about. Like,
I don't necessarily, from a man's perspective, though, it's not like it's hush money, right? We just
no, from the woman's perspective, the woman's perspective is like you're like shh,
being quiet. But from a chill. Perspective, I would say it's like I don't know. I'm a very put up or shut up kind of person. Yeah,
I just don't listen to it. Like, okay, like that doesn't interest me, so it's over there.
But I mean, wouldn't the advice be handle your business instead of you keep complaining about it?
But I mean, what if it's too late? Like, what if you already put yourself in that position and you're already in there for 18 years? Like, you don't want to keep hearing about the dude who got shot and now he can't use his legs. He gonna keep telling you he wish he didn't do it. You don't want to hear it no more. So I get that part of it, but like if it's not something like me personally, I'm a solutionist. So I'm gonna be trying to give you, okay, well, why don't we get our money up so you just pay that bill and go live your life? You know what I mean? Like instead of but if you just want to just keep rehashing what you did wrong, I'm like, all right, well, go to that side of YouTube and I'll catch you later.
Go to that side. What you got, Lee? Oh,
I was just going to
talk about.
Go ahead.
To talk about who are we to tell somebody's feelings invalid? Like, don't you realize some people are still kids, right? So, like, if a kid falls, scrapes his knee, what you say? Hey, man, get up, man. It's cool. You good? You got it. Keep going. Keep having fun. Keep playing. You know what I'm saying? So you just told that kid his feelings wasn't valid. Oh, I scraped my knee. I'm hurt. I'm crying. Hey, stop them tears.
But you at least wiped him off. Like you wiped him off. Yeah, you good. All right. Like you ain't been like, you ain't fall. You didn't really fall. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's what we're doing when we're like, man, that ain't really what happened. Like, they really did. Like, they went in there not expecting to have a child. They went in there just to get some buns. They came out with a bill for the 18 years of the kid they didn't want. Like, so for us to say that's not really what happened, like that's not fair on our side. So not that we're like brushing it off, but we at least have to acknowledge that, yeah, they probably did they caught a bad deal, but okay, what next? So I'm okay with the what next, but to invalidate it, that's rough.
So I guess you were saying it like it's, I guess how Leifer mentioned, I took it as, I'm not going to say you said this. I took it as you were saying you had to sit in with their feelings and emotions, right? Like But I'm like, work still needs to be done. Like, let's do the work, man.
Yeah, you just gotta
so
acknowledge
what
it
I'm
actually
saying is-
happened. Like you caught a raw deal.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, oh man, I can see how that could be tough. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Validating that it actually, like, this is something that you're actually going through. This is something that you're actually feeling. This isn't something that you're imagining. And even if you are imagining it, I'm still validating that. And then now, okay, where do we go from here? And now we can talk solutions. Or I could just let you go on, and then I'll say, all right, well, did you just want me to listen, or are you looking for?
Oh, that's when that,
You know
is
what I
that when
mean?
that question comes? That is
You
that
know what I
when
mean?
you
Are
ask
you
that
looking
question?
for me to? Yeah, like are you looking for me to? You know what I mean? To give
Do
me
you
some
need help,
notes?
or do you?
Yeah,
do you need
'cause
help,
I'm
or
like-
do you just need an ear?
Yeah, because if you just venting, I get it. I'm gonna just sit back, let you get it all out, you know. But if you're looking for a solution-based conversation, then all right,
I'm
then
your
now
guy.
let's get to it.
I'm
Yeah,
your guy.
let's get-
That's
let's to
crazy.
it.
You gotta ask that. I think we had that conversation before, and I'm like, the fact that you gotta ask,
I'm getting much better at that.
is this solution based
Man.
or is this?
I've been practicing
Those
that
are
a
new
lot lately.
tools. Those are new
Yep.
tools in my tool belt, man. I didn't have those. Those are new tools.
Yep. Very new for me.
So to not invalidate people's complaints. What's a valid complaint that somebody can actually have and be like, you know what, that right there was messed up?
Any complaint is valid.
Any?
Yeah.
Nah.
Like if it
Nah.
damaged
Big-
you,
big-
yeah. If it
Nah.
damaged
Like I
you,
said, it's your
Nah.
feelings, and it's your feelings. And the difficult thing about feelings is that feelings may not be rooted in reality, because the way that somebody like whatever I've said, you might have took the different way. Just like when I said this thing, and you said, "Well, this is what I got from it." So you got something different from it, and it might have been hurtful to you, even though I didn't mean it to be hurtful. So those feelings are valid, even though they're not what I meant them to be. So I'll say I can see how I can understand how you can feel that way based off of the way that I communicated it to you. And then I could then go back and I could just rephrase it so that I can clearly say what I really meant, and you could get that. Or I could just say, you know, I get it. I get how you could have came to that conclusion. Where do we go from here? And that's why I start asking these questions. So you know what I mean? So we don't get
Like I
stuck
told-
in this and start going back and
I think
forth.
a lot of things are self-inflicted, right? So like you punch somebody in the face and you get mad at them for getting blood on your shirt. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I just
I
bought
can't
this
believe you got
shirt.
blood on my shirt.
I just bought this shirt.
New shirt.
You just punched them in the face. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Shouldn't have pissed me off.
that don't make
Cause
sense.
and effect.
Like, why are you complaining about that? That's
I mean,
not a
but
valid complaint.
but that doesn't change the fact that it happened. Like, damn, now I gotta buy a new shirt. It's still an issue.
The feelings are there. The feelings are valid.
Look, hey, I remember I told somebody who commented on a video. I forget what he said. He said something wild. I told him, I said, that's cool. Opinions are like booty holes. Most of them stink. Like, that's what it is. Like, it's just your opinion. Like, okay. Like, but we can't, who are we to tell somebody they're not allowed to have an opinion? Like, okay.
Dog. And I used to do that all the time. I'm like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong.
Yeah, like, oh, that's
no,
stupid.
that
Like,
didn't happen. No,
it
you
still
don't really
might be
feel that
stupid.
way. But you know what I mean? It's more harming to invalidate somebody's feelings, because then you really can't come to a solution. Now you're just arguing back and forth over whose perspective is right. So in invalidating your feelings, now we can move past the feelings part of it, and then we can get to the solution part of it.
Can you ever really build a true solution if it's on invalid perspective anyway?
Yes.
The fuck?
Yes. Because once you acknowledge it, like, what do they say? There's the 12 steps of grief or whatever. You have to acknowledge it, even if it's look. I've started getting grays. Literally, you'd be like, that doesn't make sense. You know what?
This is dumb.
Okay, let's say it did happen. let's pretend it did happen. Okay, what are we gonna do about it? Like that. Like that's okay. Like what do I used to always say? Do you want to be right or you want to be rich? Like you have to just be like, okay.
Okay, here's a scenario. This person touched my booty hole.
Mm-hmm.
I want to kill this person. That's a solution.
I'm never mad at
It
what
never
you want to
happened,
do,
though.
but can you live? Okay, but if you kill that person, can you live with the consequences? Somebody really gonna touch it when you're
Oh
in the
no,
hole.
no! I convinced you that this happened. It never happened. You.
Oh, you said it, I go do it.
We go do it.
Uh-huh.
Because this happened to me. You supposed to be right with me.
I get it.
Do this. And
I
I convince you that this happened. And that's something that you would.
So you're not talking about feelings now. You're talking about
those feelings.
Actions now. Well,
but still feelings.
So can you build a better solution?
Feeling something happened and lying is two different things.
It's the same
clearly
thing,
lied. You
That's
clearly lied.
That's the same
because
thing.
You could confuse what somebody's saying, right? You could confuse what somebody's saying. You could get something else from it. Like I could say the sky is blue, and you can get out of that the sky is not purple, whatever it may be. But you can't. Nobody touched your booty, but you got somebody touched your booty out of that. Like you can't create an action that didn't happen. So that's a whole different argument. Like validating a lie, I think is a little bit different than trying to validate how somebody feels about something. Now, if you lied and then you feel a certain way about it, okay, I can see how you could feel that way. Now let's talk about facts.
Yo, there's this real situation. There's this app. I mean, there's this dude on social media.
I mentioned that. I think I know what you're talking about. Like it was
Queen or something like that.
Yeah. Remember, I mentioned that on a previous. I don't think y'all saw it yet. And I mentioned it. And the girl, like, what's the worst thing you ever did? And she was like, I said my boyfriend beat me up, and then my brothers went over there and did what they did, and
exactly,
it didn't really happen. I was like,
and now her brother servant got 20, 30 years. The boy's dead, and she just like ha, right? So that's what I'm saying.
But it was a solution. They provided the solution with the information they were given. And I would imagine
this person is off the rocker.
Well, then okay. Well, that doesn't mean you invalidate. That just means you don't react to it in the way that you normally would have with somebody who was who's stable.
Validation, not escalation. Like that escalated really quickly without any evidence. But in that situation, if this is your sister, daughter, mother, whatever, and they tell you it's believe first, ask questions later.
Get the church on the line. So, get him a suit.
That's it. You know.
You guys,
but you just have to know. You have to know who you're dealing with too. So, and we talked about that before with the protection show.
Yeah.
So know who you're dealing with.
So I put this question out here, but people say I'm crazy for my answer, right? I don't know if you've seen the tape, the Diddy tape. Would you ever suggest your sister go through that for the payout? Because Cassie over there sitting 30 mil. What's your take on it?
Absolutely not.
Go into detail because you had a lot to say about it.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely not. First and foremost, man, I would never. So in my head, that's prostitution. Like that's prostituting my sister, family member, whoever out. I'm putting you out here so you could get a payday, a hopeful payday that we don't even know might come. You might end up dead. You know what I mean? Messing with it. So no, I would never do that. And then secondarily, man, on the flip side of that, say it all does work out. She ends up, suing them, getting 30 million. And now she has to live with the trauma of all that stuff happening and literally pass that on in every relationship that she goes through and every situation that she goes through, every friendship that she goes through. She's still going to have to deal with this. Like she's probably going to be in therapy for the rest of her life because of that stuff. Like there was and I'm guessing if that's what we saw, there's probably a lot more that happened that we didn't
just Tuesday. See. Yeah, that was probably just Tuesday.
That we didn't see for years. You know what I mean? They were messing around for years, and
after that too. Like it wasn't like that was the last day.
Yeah, that for years after that, which is crazy because I've never seen somebody run that fast down a hallway and her towel never fall off. But that's a whole nother story. I was like, he's got the best towel ever. Like that towel wrap is like supreme. But back to what I was saying, like it's really crazy though because I just could never see myself saying that. Like the money isn't worth that to me. You know what I mean? Like I'll never. It's certainly 30 million is life changing. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to say take one for the team.
So it's getting drop kicked in a towel. Like that's life changing too on camera.
Yeah.
Like sheesh. So
Yeah, I
you know,
couldn't.
so this is so this is prototype dad. So I remember, man, one of the lessons that, and it wasn't necessarily related to this, but I was having a conversation with my daughter, and sometimes you just try to put a medicine in the candy. We were talking about something, or she sent me a video or whatever, and we was talking about it, and I was like, two of the biggest things that's going to get people in trouble is sex and money. Those are the two things. That's generally how people get, because they're in one of their most vulnerable spots, and they're willing to do almost anything to get it, being the money. That's the two things. I was like, man, don't sacrifice your morals or don't compromise your morals for either one of those two things, because you're going to be putting yourself in a very dangerous position every time you do that.
Wow.
So giving your kids that right there, man.
I want to skip this question and go into what you just said. How do you protect your kids against the woes of money and sex? Like, forget anything else. Forget the Diddy thing. How do you protect your kids from falling into the money sex trap? Leifert, what you got on that, man?
That's a hard thing, because I think that's something that a lot of women that I speak to are mindful of when they are talking to other women, or talking to their daughters, or talking to young ladies about dating somebody, and trying to create a standard at home to where they're not enamored by the shiny things. You know what I mean? When the guy comes up and wants to offer him this, wants to show him a car. Like, I hear that conversation all the times. Like, try to create this at home so when they are out here, it's not something new that they're willing to sacrifice everything to get. But that that always bothered me in a way, because if you create that at home, but you don't maintain that when they leave the home, then now there's still that void that you created that they want to get back to, or a standard of living that they want to get back to, that they are going to have difficulty getting on their own when they first leave the home. Yeah, especially in college. You know what I mean? They're going to have difficulty, but they don't want that lapse in coverage or comfortability or lifestyle. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they might do something strange for a little change out here, just trying to maintain the lifestyle. You know what I mean? And the only reason I bring that up is because I've seen it happen. You know what I mean? With like spoiled, girls who were spoiled at home, and then basically when they went off to school or they moved out, their parents just cut them off. You know what I mean? So that lifestyle wasn't maintained. Or maybe their parents had a little rough patch and they wasn't able to help them as much as they were in the past. Now that they're paying for school as well, you know what I mean? They're not able to provide the same lifestyle. And now they're doing XYZ to kind of buffer that. Or they're hanging out with men, you know what I mean? So they can, pay for this or pay for that. Or they're dating drug dealers now because they got free disposable cash. You know what I mean? So it's a weird conversation for me, and it's difficult for me to come up with a solid answer other than the lifestyle that you have in the household. You have to maintain that lifestyle until they're able to sustain it themselves. And that's basically what Reese say all the time. My daughter is under my covering until she is covered by her husband.
What about your son in the sex though? Because I don't know why this came up in my head. I was watching one of the movie about the painter with Kelly Rowland. Is a Tyler Perry movie. You know what I'm saying? One of those joints.
I can't remember. I know exactly what you're talking about too.
I just seen it there today, and there was a scene where they were having sex in front of each other, right? A lot of young boys lose their virginities in trains, with their homies. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of that's a common thing where
Mea Culpa, that's what it was called. Mea Culpa.
Yeah, Kid Culpa. But you know who I'm talking about, Leifert. You know what I'm saying? Lost his virginity in a train session. Like, you know what I'm saying? You like, yo, like, wait, what? This is an intimate moment for you, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's crazy, like that kind of stuff happens, right? But I'm not incriminating anybody, but how do we protect our kids moving forward? You know what I'm saying? Because to be honest, like we had a show earlier where like Buddy was like, we had one dude on the show and he was like, I'm gonna tell my son and my daughter not to be out here hoeing. You know what I'm saying? We was like, whoa, we don't agree. But now more and more, I don't think I want my boys out there on the rodeo, you know what I mean, running trains with their homies and doing all that other weird stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? So speak to that, Lee, because you got you got a parent on both sides. How do you protect your kid from that? And I guess Mo, you can speak from it from being an uncle, but
Yeah, I think for me first, I think more about it from an uncle standpoint because I got a nephew about 15, 16, and you know what I mean. I got what who I call the community nephews who kind of around my nephew's age, and they all be over my house eating up my food and my snacks and stuff. You know what I mean? But just like, and it's crazy because they're not even on it like we was. You know what I mean? They 16 in the game, and they not really on it. So that's like, it's comforting in a way, but it's also like, man, you green. So it's like you have to ease the conversation because it's already uncomfortable. But it's also like, man, you don't want to be out here making bad decisions, man. One bad decision could ruin your life for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? So, you want to make sure that you're not out here doing too much. You know what I mean? Get to know people, chill out, you know what I mean? Relax. But, I think about it more from that standpoint now because they're right in the thick of it. You know what I mean? We're getting into that prom season. Everybody, I mean, I don't know if this still go on nowadays, but I know during we was coming up prom season, folks was pregnant right after prom. So, you know what I mean? Heck, folks were pregnant in grade school. So, you know what I mean? There was a lot going on. A lot going on when we was coming up. So I think it's a different conversation, how you approach it. But
so what's the sex talk?
Definitely.
Let's get there. What's the sex talk with your son and how he should move through that?
Don't do it. Yeah, even with my nephew, don't do it. You know what I mean? Take your time. There's no rush in this. You know what I mean? There's no rush in putting yourself out there. Take some time, figure out who you are. You know what I mean? Decide what you want out of this world and become the man that you want to be before putting yourself on the line for some girl out here chasing the girls and chasing the skin. Make sure that you figure out who you want to be and you charge toward it. I said once you get where you trying to go, the women will be there. You know what I mean? You go. What somebody say? You could waste a lot of time and money.
You'll lose a lot of money. You'll lose a lot of money chasing women. You'll never lose a woman chasing money.
See,
absolutely.
Now,
That's what it was. That's what it was.
This question contradicts that, right? Doesn't it? Because it's like, how do we keep them out of the loop of money and the loop of sex? From both sides, right? Because the loop of money, your son,
not falling victim to the money, but building a career for yourself. Building a career for yourself in which you're getting paid the money, not just chasing money. And if we're talking about my son, I'm hoping he's not out here doing something strange for a little change. You know what I mean? I hope he's out here trying to build a career.
Hey, she might be funny though.
Yeah, she gonna laugh him out the drawers. Hit him with an old little Mo better slide.
What you got, Mo? How do you keep your nieces, your nephews, your daughters, you know what I'm saying, from one, the money, the lust of money, the love of money, and the love of sex?
So I think about this a lot, and I've been doing a lot of reading lately. And so the way you worded it, I won't say that I do it in that way. Excuse me. So as far as like the lust of money, like my daughter loves nice things, like she really does, but she's also good with money. So I've tried to teach her financial literacy, stuff like that, and I've taught her ways to make her own money, right? So you're not always having to depend on somebody else, or you're having to compromise yourself to get something that you want. So that's one. And two is like it kind of goes for both sexes. And it's easier said than done, but I'm like, yo, truth be told, you should probably wait. Like, it's like the little bit that you get out of it, the risk isn't worth the reward. Like, and it's easy to say that after you've been there, done that, but I'm like, yo, I promise you. Like, and like, and it's to the point where I started to have more real conversation with my daughter, because it used to be a very Disney type conversation, but I was like, I'm doing her a disservice. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be that dude that's dropping her off at the quad, you know, in college, and the football players just like, because she's so green. And I just thought, so I just thought about, yeah. So I started thinking about that.
I don't know which one to pick. I don't know.
Like, Birdman hand rub. So a couple things. So one, from a money standpoint, man, I want her to be tooled with enough to be able to do for herself. And not only that, God forbid, I mean, I'm here, and if I ain't, she's really up. You know what I mean? If I'm not here. But so being able to be a little bit independent, like, 'cause I hate saying, oh, strong and independent, like, that's not what I'm saying, but I want her to be self-sufficient and to be able to be choosy, if that makes sense. Like, she doesn't have to make a compromised decision from a lack of money or whatever, right? So it starts there. And then from the opposite side, you know, obviously I have nephews. From them, I'm like, I come at it from a couple different ways. One, I'm like, I don't want you tethered to somebody who you don't want to spend the rest of your life with. So it's almost like scared straight. I'm like, hey, if you do that, like, and they're young, but I don't say so this is me foreshadowing when they get older. I'm like, yo, don't be out here doing nothing crazy with somebody that you don't want to be with for the rest of your life. You can't see yourself being with. So it would start there. And then two, man, I read a quote. I want to say it was either Ralph Carnegie or somebody like that. And he said, so basically what he did is he went and surveyed, I think it was the 100 richest people in the world. And he said the only difference between the people that failed and the people that became the most successful was, one, obviously they didn't quit. But he was like, what happened was, especially for the men, he said, because back then there really wasn't that many successful women. And what he said was the people that were able to harness that sexual energy into something productive. He said those were the people that became the most successful and the most fulfilled in their life. And I never thought of it that way, but I do, like, when I looked at, like, I took that message and put it in my life, and I was like, because you know how many times, like, I was supposed to do this, but I end up doing that, and bad things happen. You know what I mean? Like, I'm literally the guy. I'm like, so for example, I'm literally the guy that missed taking senior football pictures. The team picture, I missed it because, one, I went to go get fresh. I went and got the mall to get all that, and then I end up bagging something, and I just didn't even go back. So taking that energy and doing something productive with it generally will serve you in a better way. But I get it. It's easier said than done because you're young and you want to do what you do, and especially, like, no, I ain't going to incriminate nobody. Okay.
My take on it is, I don't know. I feel like I lost one already. So I'm not necessarily sure how to sway them to not. It's I don't know. I'm completely lost. So what I mean with the boys though, I don't know. I really don't. Like, it's like we can say these theories or whatever, but and I'm not invalidating any of the solutions you guys threw out. But it's really one of those parenting things that, like, when it comes up, I'm gonna have to, like, call it by the play. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in a 2-minute. Because, like,
but shouldn't you drop some plays now? Like, don't just wing it.
I should, but I don't even know what to draw up. You know what I mean? Like, theoretically, I don't want them to even go down that road for real. You know what I'm saying? I know what's down that road. Like, you can't trust them. You can't do this. You can't do that. Right?
They going.
Focus on, you know.
Oh, they going.
Get them hyper focused on making the best decisions. You know what I'm saying? And going a certain way. But even at the end of that, those temptations come up, right? So if it's not money and if it's not sex, what are you driven by? What is a man driven by? What is a woman driven by? You know what I'm saying? Here's one bonus though. That I can say about women is the more educated the woman, the more I feel like the more likely she is to fall for someone with a little bit better moral character. My anecdotal experience, I can tell.
Elaborate on that.
So let's say we was out in our sniper days.
Mm-hmm.
The women that typically try to understand the man that's talking to them, hear you out, hear your message, you know what I'm saying? See if you got a good hit on your shoulders, evaluate from that perspective, versus the women that evaluate from a flashy money perspective, is the education level. There's an education gap there.
I disagree.
My anecdotal experience.
I disagree.
So you think educated women still more on the?
It's just different. Like they have different motivations. So, hey, I'm retired. So, from an educated standpoint, when they be like, and they're thinking, oh well, like, you know, does he have what I have? Does he, you know, is he also equally yoked? And out, my mind's running circles around him anyway. So, I look, think about it this way, and you'll remember this. I got brothers. Can't no dude run game on me.
Right.
Like, yes, I can. Yes, I can.
I'll ask you this: was she one of the better women in your life?
No, but that same scenario, right? That same scenario keeps happening. It just kept happening. It was just a different set of questions. Because they are like, they're hardwired with they're hardwired with. Now they might have updated software, but their hardware is still the same. They're still looking for provision, protection, social. What do y'all call it? Social status.
For provision, protection, or in different forms, and only certain women can.
Right, for different classes of women. Yep.
Yeah. They're in different forms, and certain women will see it this way versus that way.
Yeah. So I don't see it as better or worse. Like they're just looking for it in different forms because I know I'm gonna, you know, they're educated, they got money. They know they're gonna eat tonight. They know they're gonna be able to sleep tonight. Rent ain't an issue. I don't need $40.
Right.
Like, do you got a passport? Can you take me on a trip? Oh, don't worry about that, baby. I've been everywhere. I've been on every continent but Antarctica. You know what I mean? And they're coming up, you know what I mean? So like it's just different.
When you say that challenge is a little different, like certain men can't touch them.
Yeah, but
a lower value man can't touch them.
I mean, where you don't compete, you can't compare. But if we're not them, like who cares? Like, so the fact that I can see that, like, so a man that isn't educated, and I don't believe this, but let's say they do. So if he's not educated, like he's not on my level, we can't even, like, I've heard him say, oh, well, I couldn't even take him to an art gallery. Like, ma'am, you're probably ghetto. So, but you're just educated. So don't act like you're so cultured, but whatever. But with that being said,
that probably ain't is which is exactly what you're saying. I'm saying
right.
She's missing some education, some education levels as well.
So, but that's my thing. It's all the same. It's just a different set of questions based on their exposure. That's all it is. Like, they're no different. It's just a different set of rules. You know what I mean? Like, so this is gonna be bad. Yeah, I'll say this is gonna be bad. But like when you get down, let's say in the lower levels, you got to know how to grapple. And so we get down there doing that, and you know how to roll weed and stuff like that, right? And then a higher, I hate to even say it this way, but a higher class of woman, like that doesn't even come up. Like it's just like, oh well, what have you done? What do you do? Oh, have you pledged and stuff like that? So it's just a different set of questions, but it's still the same end result. Think about it from a guy standpoint. Don't you still want the same end result? So it's the same thing. It's just a different set of questions.
No, we don't. I think we'll smash what we don't want, but we'll wife what we do. But
education ain't gonna change that. That's totally not the deciding factor. A good woman that ain't educated can be a wife.
What you got, Lee?
So, I mean, I don't want to speak for all of us, but I feel like we've all seen that quote unquote higher caliber woman with somebody who was not nearly on their level, and maybe they're not dating to get married, but oh, he's smashing for sure. You know what I mean? So I think it just depends on the occasion, and in some regards, you know, they might end up, you know, being together. But yeah, I don't think we're looking for the same thing. Even as far, you said education level, but even as far as income, like we ain't even checking for that in a lot of regards. It's like, I don't give a dang what your money is. Your money ain't my money anyway in most situations. So that don't really matter to me. So you know what I mean? I think we're just, you know, we're
And
a
she
little
ain't about to spend it on you
hardwired
anyway.
differently. Yeah, we're hardwired differently. You know what I mean? So we're not necessarily looking for that same type of thing that they're looking for. Where if they got this a master's degree and they're making six figures, they want somebody who's at least making that or more. You know what I mean? Whereas the equivalent man ain't looking for the same thing from a woman in most regards.
Aren't you looking for the same hardware? You're looking for the hardware that they have. That's the reason for the season with them. You didn't go into it asking like, so have you got your JD? No one cares. like when you're in the club, you're not like, so do you have a JD? No, it's how that maxi dress is.
What's your highest level of education? What's the last job that you secured?
Go down.
No, I'm not. Like, you can get that from anywhere, anybody. So if you meet a chick in the club, yeah, that might be the goal. But if I meet a chick at the park or the grocery store, I'm not necessarily thinking about like what depends on what she's wearing. If she's wearing them scrunch bottoms, you know what I'm saying? That's a little different. But I'm not necessarily going in thinking like, oh yeah, let me get you home ASAP, blah blah blah, XYZ. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you fit in the prototypical type. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking like, yes, I am thinking about your educational level. I'm thinking about how you could, what kind of grandmother you might be in the future. I'm thinking about what kind of peace you might give me. You know what I'm saying? What kind of nurturing you might have. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm thinking about that, but I'm not thinking about none of that from nothing. I'm just trying to smash. You know what I'm saying? I can hate it when I smash her.
But the whole educate that, and so that I think that was my whole point, was the education isn't what plays into that, at least for me. It's more about core values that's more important. Core values is what like the aesthetic is what's going to get you in the door. Your core values and your morals and stuff like that is what's going to keep you there. So
your intelligence, your ability to carry a conversation, you know, how, you know, if you have like this femininity to you, your ability to be able to adapt to situations, and you know what I mean, and roll with me in certain places. Like,
how do you make my life easier?
That's what you know what I mean. How do you smooth things out for me?
We didn't hear you. What was that?
Wouldn't you rather a woman with an education teach your kids than one without one?
I don't know that.
Not really.
I mean, to me, a formal education and being intelligent enough to teach my kids are two different things. You know what I mean? I don't think those are the same thing.
I could find the right one in center.
I know a lot of dummies with master's degrees, so it don't matter.
I know a bunch of very educated, successful ones that don't have time for kids.
Yeah, but if they have the time, right? Like if they're going to be around your kid, I would prefer an educated woman around my kid than a non-educated one.
I would prefer a nurturing woman.
That for sure. I'm thinking like
I'm educated.
Grandma didn't even graduate high school, and
right,
I would have her raise my kids all day, like 6 ways to Sunday. So it's not,
and we all made it.
You know, you don't need a master's degree to raise children. You know, and a lot of women with master's degrees and JDs and these doctorates, they don't know crap about raising children. You know, so you know, you got to have that nurturing.
About their accolades. I'm talking about their experience. I would rather the experience, like.
And what experience are we talking about?
The experience of what it would take to
being able to take a test,
another level, right? So if I have two educated parents versus one educated parent, I think that kid has a better chance at being more successful in life.
Nope.
I don't know the studies. We might have to do like
I can tell you. Nope. So kids who their mother stayed home with them up until they were school age or I think it was like 45% more likely to be, at least grounded and be able to be more successful versus two parents. Like I remember I used to go through that, having two parents that are working and educated or whatever. I remember I felt like I wasn't even raising my daughter.
And this is the thing I have about, I'll say it, this is the thing I have about black women. If black women acted more like other cultures, then it would be hands down no competition. But they're so bent on doing everything else outside of what other cultures value.
I'm gonna regret asking this, but like, give me an example.
If so, how ours are so career driven, and after the bag, or I'm speaking I'm not globally, but I'm speaking.
You're just You're generalizing.
I'm generalizing, right? For the generalization of it, ours is like, oh, I'm after the bag, I'm a boss chick, blah blah blah. I don't got time for XYZ. Don't take their kids on lavish vacations, but they miss a lot, right? Where that a woman from another culture with that same education level will not go to work. Will be like, I'm not going to work for 5 years until my kid gets to school, or I'll stay and homeschool my kid. You know what I'm saying? Or I just feel like if black women had that mentality, it wouldn't even be close. But go ahead.
So here goes, and God forbid, but this is this is my Dr. Umar. This is gonna be my Dr. Umar part of this. Our women aren't coming from a starting point that these other cultures are. Man, they didn't have no daddy, so they didn't even have a lot of times they didn't even have a family.
We know why.
But that's like saying why didn't Michael Vick stay in the pocket like Peyton Manning? Because he had a whole nother skill set. Like, and their other skill set is that they can withdraw more and they can do more and they're driven. So, like, I'm not willing to take that away from them.
No. But if they honed it in and stayed focused on the current goal, it would be a lot more productive. I think we brought up a woman who I
remember. Yeah, the inventor, the inventor lady. That's what you was going to talk about. She's she's like I want to say she's a professor in Texas or something now. Or and then both her sons, both her sons became engineers up in DC or whatever.
There would be more of that. Then I think more black women can produce that on a regular if they honed it in and nurtured their children more.
Within a nuclear family? Or you're just saying, yes, okay, because I was going to say, was she married?
Within the balance of a nuclear family.
Okay.
So it's like, you know how we go to school, I'm still generalizing, black dudes will go to school and start selling dope or be the hardest nigga on campus. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
you ain't cut like that. You're not cut like that. What are you doing? Yeah.
You're at school now. Like, go ahead, like, enjoy school. Now you have an opportunity to go ahead and be who you really need to be. I think a lot of black dudes that date white girls end up being that. I think we really want to be as corny as we can. And I don't know if there's another trend going on, like the black wife effect and the white wife effect, where like,
oof. Hey, that's a good one. Ooh.
Did you see that?
Yeah. What do y'all think about? Yeah, because I got TikTok. Yeah, I've seen it.
Have you seen that, Leaper? Where like dudes are posting what they look like before their wives and after, like based on if their wife was black or white. So how black dudes be like super hood, and then they go and get a white wife, and they're like, "Hey, how you doing?"
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I
he's at Abercrombie and Fitch, and
you understand? We really want to be comfortable like that,
playing cornhole and just comfortable in his own skin. And then in the inversion of that was in the black wife effect, where they find Tom in accounting. He's corny, and then he get him a black wife, and then he's Chaz. Like, it's crazy. Like, he's cosplaying as a black man. Like, look, I almost said something.
Bothers me. Like, why are corny white men good enough for black women, but corny black men are not? Like, they're willing to transform a corny white guy, but not willing to transform a corny black guy. Like, that's corny.
look,
I don't got an answer for that. I don't.
yeah, I don't say like I'm not mad at somebody's preference, and
I'm
if
mad.
somebody gets bonus points,
He don't got no
like,
swag.
look,
Neither do we, but you'll do that.
Yeah, but I don't think she has that expectation for him. The expectation is different, for the brother, you know what I mean, than it is for him. She's expecting him to be himself, which is
Corny.
Yep.
Ned Flanders.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't bring Peyton Manning in to run the triple option. Like it's not in his skill set. But no, I mean, listen, whatever a person chooses in their life and to spend their life with, good for them. I don't care. But the problem is when they try to like, so for example, and this is what I took from it. So on that side, when they do the black wife effect, one of the things that was kind of interesting to me, I was like, so the person you turned him into, could you have got him if he was that way from the beginning? And that, what I always say, when you do that, is because you're trying to get something that you don't deserve. And that's what they're doing. Because the dude who was swagged up like that, they probably wasn't going to be able to get him. Because he had options.
But that don't mean you don't deserve him, though. I can't agree with that. You don't deserve that. You might not have been able to get him, but that don't mean you don't deserve it.
So if you're not qualified, how can you deserve something that you're not qualified
They
for?
don't. No, I wouldn't say you're not qualified. I think it's just a matter of them not recognizing whatever. Like people are still people, and they're highly flawed. You know what I'm saying? So
And they have free will.
And
so
they have free will, but they're flawed. Like there could be a high morality, a low moral rate with them guys for real, and you find yourself with a guy with some morals, slight character, and all you got to do is change his shirt and his haircut, and you got the total package. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, especially when guys are like, oh, there's a new term I learned, NPC. You know what that is? That? I bet you your kids would know.
Okay, what's that?
It means non-something character, non-participant character. So it's kind of like
NPC.
Yeah, like you know how like you got those actual characters on Grand Theft Auto that you just be beating up randomly. So it's like brainless characters. You understand what I'm saying? So when you talk to somebody who
a non-player character.
Okay.
So that goes back to, like, remember how I said, I was like, yo, you're just an extra in her movie. Remember I'm talking about that? So it's like that. Okay. Yeah, I've never heard of that term before.
Yeah, so if you're involved with it, if you're having a conversation with somebody and they're not giving you any thanks, none of your biz, but they're not giving you any knowledge or anything, like any communication, you're like, oh, you're an NPC.
They're just happy to be there. Yep.
Not even happy to be there. They don't have a thought of their own. That's what it is. You don't have a thought of your own. It's so you're the follower. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the whatever she want to do.
So like they say,
do.
So have you ever heard the phrase "you're only as loyal as your options"? So
yeah.
So like Ned, like so to Leifer's point, so Ned Flanders, he didn't have many options, so it took what he got or whatever. So she dressed him up, and now he looks like Chaz. So now that he has more options, it is going to be much more tough for him to be loyal and to not have an opinion anymore.
I think men are loyal.
And how are we saying we don't have many options? I don't get that, because maybe he did.
Corny guys, you know what I mean? Corny guys don't have many options.
Yeah, they don't have
many options.
They don't.
But corny guys
I know a lot of corny guys that had a lot of women that, you know what I mean, like went to high school with these guys, and they was corny as heck. Well, they was corny to me. It was corny as heck. And I was like,
I'll put it like this.
But
can they get what they want? You know what I mean? Like
get what likes them.
You see what I'm saying? Like, that's all. But again, what you choose is on you. But what's interesting to me is you choose it one way and you turn into something else. Is that really what you wanted then? Does that make sense? Like, if you have to,
but even if you get something, is that what you really want? or are you just trying to get what the standard is? Because that's the problem that I have all the time. Is because you guys always say, no, there's a standard of beauty, and I'm like, people fall victim to that quote unquote standard of beauty, trying to prove something to others when that's not what they really like, and they be closet, messing with something else in the background. But this person is just a person they take out the show, but that ain't, they like the fluffy girls, or you know what I mean? They might like the, they might like the dudes, or be on the download or something.
Girls. I think people like the way the fluffy girls treat you.
I know a lot of guys, skinny guys too, who love.
Well, yeah, typically the skinny guys go for the fluffy girls, but I think it has more to do with the way that.
Look, like think about it. And you're right, because think about it.
Because if the baddie treated them like the fluffy girl, then the fluffy girl really couldn't compete.
Look, I was at a cookout.
I don't know if I think it's an attraction thing though. No, you know what I mean? I don't know if it's necessarily
me right.
I don't know that.
Time, and literally,
I don't know that.
I had this discussion, right? So, would you rather pay the same price and go to a place where you got to wash your own car? They just give you a bucket and a hose, versus somewhere they're like, oh, we going full service, everything you want at the same price. Like you're gonna gravitate towards that, and I think that's what happens. But you're not wrong for doing that because you're doing what's best for you. But at the same time,
it's not at the same price. It's actually at a higher price because you're the opposite way, right? It's a higher price because you're sacrificing what you truly want. Like if I got a chick at home that I'm not attracted to, but she treats me how I want to treat her, like when she's doing the things, I'm thinking about somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not thinking about that person. Yes, she's doing this, but I'm not thinking about her.
Okay.
And that might just be me, but like, you know what I'm saying? I'm definitely in my head somewhere else.
I mean, I think that's fine, but I mean, so at some point, and this is kind of what we're talking about, like our nephews, like don't be making permanent decisions with your little head.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm
so
like.
So you have to start using that at some point.
Do I say, hey, beauty's important or beauty isn't?
It's important, but it's not the deciding factor. That's all. Like, because you're lying to yourself if you're like.
I mean, it depends on, based on who you are. You can get a lot of people to treat you right. Like getting somebody unattractive to treat you right when you know you're more attractive than them. That's an easy task. You can get a whole bunch of them.
But sometimes, what if that's not as important as the compatibility or the how they treat you?
I think compatibility is fake. They're all compatible with you when they like you.
So, but I think there's levels to this based on, like I said, based on how much they feel that y'all are even. Yeah. You know what I mean? If they feel like I could do better, they may not. They probably ain't as compatible because they like I could do better.
So they're
not as willing to be
compatibility fake. So if they like you, is the compatibility fake? Like, are they just putting on the front just because they like you? So is that really compatibility?
Until she realized that she can do better.
But what if she can't? Right? That's the sucker hole. You gotta always be better than her. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I always believed in, even when they think they're better than me, they'll find out that they're not. And when that's a moment I feel like I truly got you. But I guess this goes into the last question, right? What are the chances that our children find good partners? Because we're talking about just that. What are the chances that our children find good?
Yeah, it's rough out here, man.
Think about it. Just think about the fathers here, right? And just think about the outside world. What is it 80, 90% are being raised, without fathers?
It ain't that high.
It's gonna be rough.
It's going the other way. It's going the other way.
It's gonna be tough.
No. It was like
it's gonna be.
It's like something now.
It's gonna be tough. So here's what I'll say. It's gonna be tough, but I'm trying to provide enough of those tools to get chosen by that minute percent. That's my hope. That's my hope.
He said, I ain't even finished.
It's gonna be tough.
What you think, Lee? What's the chances that, especially?
Well, a generation from now, our kids gonna be doing the black wife effect.
Yeah. I think it's difficult. I think this is a different generation. They're dating different. They're thinking different. Their minds are completely different as far as roles and things of that nature. Like even in our generation, there's some discourse in between, what specific roles people have. And I remember on one of the episodes, I can't remember what we were talking about, but it came to a conversation about women expecting men to, if they were in danger, for them to come to their rescue. The man could be a complete stranger, but if we see that somebody's in danger, then we would go to their rescue. And I had said, I'm staying out of domestics. I don't know what's going on, but I'm staying out of it because I've seen a lot of those situations where it ends up backfiring on people. Not only that, but you got certain women nowadays who would take offense to it, like, oh, I don't need you to rescue me. I don't need, you know what I mean? Or that type of thing. So I think right now it's difficult to be able to say, like, man, what's out there based on where everybody's ideologies are just all over the place. So I think it will be like slim pickings. So that it's really hard for me to say that it's going to be easy. I think it, like Mo said, it's going to be tough. But I think it's also, I think we all got daughters. So like coming from a space of, I think oftentimes, what's drowned in, women's heads from things I hear is, what to expect from a man. You know what I mean? How that man should treat you, but nobody's having a conversation of how you should treat your man.
Nobody ever had a conversation with
you? As far as a woman?
What do you expect from a woman?
No,
really?
Not really. But even not even from my thing. It's like from the women's perspective, a lot of the women I spoke to nobody has told them.
I'm not talking about the character. I'm talking about
how to treat a man.
The people that care about you, have they never told you what to expect from a woman?
We wasn't having those conversations, man. I'm from a church family, man. We talking about, it was a lot of don't do this, don't do that. So it wasn't no real conversations about that. And if they were trying to have those conversations, I don't know that I was comfortable enough to be open to having those conversations because I'm just scared about where they might go. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't think I sat around for those type of conversations.
What about you, Mo?
So in those real, like, so in my family, like there's some church folk and then there's some real, I got a whole nother side. There's some real street folks, right?
The aunties, right?
Yeah.
What did they tell you?
And I remember what they told me. Looking back on it, I'm good off. That's not what I want. She talking about make sure your stomach full and your balls empty. Like I need more than that. Like that's whack.
That's what the women was telling you?
Yes. Like make sure your woman do that. She better be able to cook and she better. I'm like hell. By the time I was 18, I was like that wasn't enough. I remember thinking it. I was like that's not enough. But like by the time I was 18, I was like that's not enough. So I remember I was always thinking like that advice is trash. So I was already like, But anyway, so what was the actual question? So let me
what's the chances our children find good partners?
So I know it was funny, but like I think that's real. Like, I've gone on record and said, man, if things don't change in the next two generations, man, it's over for us as a culture, I think. But with that being said,
so with that said, are you done? Are you not saying, hey, go stay black? Be open. So are you giving a be open speech?
I'm not. But I'm a solutionist. So, and I was actually just at a conference maybe a couple weeks ago, and so I was there. My daughter was there, and I guess they saw how I was moving. The parents saw how I was moving. They saw how my daughter was moving, and we low key had like an arranged wedding type thing. Like they was like, okay, we see they're doing things. They believe in stuff that we believe in. Their kid was a pilot and about to be, he's gonna be an engineer and da 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 da. And they was like, hey, we should connect them to, like, literally we had this conversation. and that's the first time I ever thought about it, because literally I'm in a conference of, I think it was maybe like 150 kids, like teen age. There was maybe only one or two that I would have been like, maybe that's he. Yeah. And we connected, and they were like, yeah, I see you, you see me. Hey, why don't we connect information? Maybe we should, you know. And I was like, so in my mind, that might be necessary to help them navigate, because it's gonna be tough.
Yeah. If my kids turn out who I think they might be, we definitely will have to arrange some stuff. And I'm not even talking about the one, I'm talking about all three of them.
Yeah.
Like if they turn out to who they might be
for different reasons, you're gonna have to do it for all three for different reasons for each one.
Yeah. And but the thing about it is they're so gentle. They're so non-threatening. You know what I'm saying? I don't want them to be devastated on what could happen, because I'm not preparing them for that either. You know
you better be putting them in the right circumstance then.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. When the question is posed, how do you prepare them for not being taken advantage of? I don't know, because it's like
of handing them off to somebody who's at their level,
just as pure as they are.
Yo, I
can't see it. I don't want to break it. Like at some point you're gonna have to break it, and I don't want to break glass.
I can't remember. I saw it somewhere. So a guy, it was like, let's say the kid, the guy or the young dude was like, you know, green, and the girl was worldly. Let's say it was, put it that way. And so they met each other. Right? And then he was like, "Hey, Dad, I want you to meet my girlfriend." And in like real country folk, he said, "Hey, she too short for you." He was like, he said, "Hey," like he was like, He was like, you know what I mean? Like Dad, like, man, I came up the hard way, like, but I did that so you didn't have to. He was like, you don't. He was like, stay away from her. And he was like, but I love her. He's like, oh, I know you do. He's like, I know you do. He was like, let her go. Yup. He was like, let her go. So if that's the case, we're going to have to start like putting them in the right scenario.
Yeah, because it's really scary. Like I said, I don't want to break glass. Like, oh, you're just so nice. Yeah, I can't see, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, dang, I can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, they get offended when I'm like, hey, XYZ, and they're like, what? You ain't gonna make it out there. What you got, Lee? Before we get out of here.
Not really, man. Like I said, it's hard out here, man. And what Reese said one time before about arranged marriages. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like it's crazy to even think that you know that will be back on the table. But it's hard out here, man. And you know, of course, you want your kids to be with the somebody who's gonna treat them good, and somebody who can, you know what I mean, will be there for them. But once they leave, man, then we don't really have, we don't really got that control no more, and they ain't even trying to hear us no more. Everything that we've ever said our whole lives, they're questioning now. So I don't know how much influence that we'll be able to have once they leave. So the only time we got is while they still in the house, you know what I mean? And try to drill as much as we can drill into their heads and get them to think critically about, who they're going to spend their life with, the type of ideals that they're looking for, and and to see past just the little ooey gooey feelings of right now, and to what happens once those feelings is gone. You know what I mean? How do you maintain and work yourself through the muck? And is this the type of person who you'll want to do that for and do that with? So I think it just starts now, because I think once they leave, it's too late.
Man, good conversation. I think that'll wrap us up. That's another Prototype Dad. And we out.